for the community. That's this year's theme for Community Mental Health Authority at their annual event. And joining me right now is the keynote speaker, Darryll. How's it going?
It's awesome, man. We're here to rock.
Yes, well, that's good. It's a great energy to have because, you know, this is such a supportive community that focuses on mental health, and you're going to be able to speak to them. But first, let's talk a little bit about caring for the community. What do those words mean to you?
Oh, man, community is everything. It takes a village to raise a child. And I grew up in Jackson, Michigan, inner city. My mom and dad weren't together. They struggled to make ends meet. And if it wasn't for community members who cared, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today.
Absolutely, and that is just part of, you know, your story and your journey, that you've been so open and inspired for people, not just in here in mid-Michigan, but also across the world. And so you're going to be able to speak on some of the ways that we can identify and reduce stress in our lives, and also, of course, the care system. But let's go with that stress. You know, why is that important to identify, and how can we do that?
Well, stress is often an indicator that there's something beneath the surface that we haven't addressed. A lot of people, they come home from work and they're like, how was today? And they're like, oh, it was a long day. And they think that it was work that made them stressed, but part of what I learned from doing a ton of therapy after I survived suicide attempts was, man, a lot of the things that I was stressed about or worried about or mad about or angry about or dealing with on the surface level were really symptoms of things that were going on underneath. And so part of what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some of those subconscious beliefs that is driving this chronic stress and fatigue and burnout and overworking that we experience from a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. And you know, you have the care framework, the care system. What is that, and how does that help?
Care system, okay, it's like I was trying to combine the body of knowledge that I experienced from being a practitioner, rebuilding my life from suicide to success, and then also all my experience speaking on stages and mentoring people who, everywhere from people who are in crisis to high achievers who aren't in like a mental health or mental illness crisis, but they struggle to slow down and take time and space for themselves. So I was like, how do I put this together? So I did the speaker thing. I wrote down every single advice I got, every practice I did that I felt was helpful. And then I was like, how do I put it into something that's understandable in an acronym? And I knew I wanted it to be like mental health or self-care or something that is associated with mental health, so that anytime you think about self-care or mental health, you would think about this modality or this framework. And so CARE was like, oh, this works perfectly. So the CARE acronym stands for conscious awareness, which is really understanding how your subconscious beliefs affect your reality. Okay, then there's activities. That's moving your body in order to shift your state at any time so that you change the way you feel, which changes the way you feel.
Right.
Okay, and then R is about relationships with yourself, with others, with food, and with money. I noticed that in my counseling sessions, those were the primary areas where I was complaining about the most, experiencing the most challenge, and that's pretty common for most people. And then E is expression, because whatever you don't express, you suppress. And so how do we live a life that's fully expressed of who we really are on the inside?
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And ties in right in the theme. We talked about caring for the community. We got CARE right there. Great framework to address and kind of apply to our lives. So that's absolutely amazing. And for those that weren't able to come to today's event, but are
missed it, should have got here. Made the mistake.
Made the mistake, but they're sitting at home. You know, what message do you have for them if they want to apply CARE to their lives, or if they might be struggling with their mental health?
Man, a mentor once told me that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Most people don't want to go into counseling and therapy. They don't want to open up Pandora's box. They don't want to, you know, it's like the junk drawer at your house. Nobody wants to open it up because it's so overwhelming to deal with. And it can feel like that emotionally. So what I would say to the people at home is just like, you might be afraid, don't want to stir up old things, but one of the things you have to realize is just because you don't stir it up doesn't mean it's not affecting you. You just learn how to suppress it and repress it, but it's still affecting your overall expression and quality of life. And so go into that cave. It's scary in the initial onset, but once you get through the other side, it holds the treasure that you seek, the freedom that you seek, the internal peace that you seek. So the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you see. Go in and do the work.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Just talking to you for a little bit, I feel inspired. So keep up the amazing work. Thank you so very much. And you can find more information about the wonderful resources for Community Mental Health Authority right on your screen. But thank you so much. And fire up chips, right?
Fire up chips.